here.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite clone commander on Kashik's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at Commander Gree, which is the Toys R Us exclusive offered at San Diego Comic-Con, bought from TRU.com, that I will be looking at today. As you can see, he holds both of his guns, even though he has one trigger finger hand. You know how that goes. You just have to kind of adapt and overcome, or choose one gun to go with. We have some other accessories to talk about, though, so let's just get into them, as well as looking at the guns. So, nothing really exciting to report, just gray plastic. The sculpt is decent enough on both. No dry brushing, no extra shading, no detailing, just kind of business as usual. You also get a set of binoculars, which are cool. There's paint all over this thing. We got black kind of glossy paint there, and then we had this like drab green kind of paint on it as well. It's not painted extremely well, the green bits. It's very fuzzy, but I think it gets the job done. The problem is there's no way to really store it on him. And because of the limited articulation, you can't really get him to hold it to his head. Which is funny. So you pretty much have to kind of settle for him like holding it down, like as if he had just looked through it. And then he also comes with this antenna with the black painted on, and you need to simply find his backpack and plug it in, and you shouldn't have an issue, and that wraps up his accessories. So let's talk about the figure. A lot of paint on this unit, which looks good. So we're going to try to go through it all. So I think it's this base color white here for the helmet, and then we have a silver, a gray, two shades of green, and then some black details all painted on. So not only does the sculpt look good, but the paint looks tremendous. I think it's on a ball hinge, but you don't get that much out of it. You get down to there, which is decent enough, I guess, and then up to there, and then the swivel. The paint is done fairly clean and sharp, so that is an added bonus. For the torso, we have a ball joint in the torso, getting you the waist swivel, as well as a slight ab crunch, a little bit more back, and a little bit more to the sides, but not much. It's this base color here, and then it has this olive green kind of tattered on. This green is like painted on, and then the silver is painted as like wear and tear, so that all works well. And then the straps are painted, and all that stuff is sculpted as well. On the back, you have this green paint, and then you have this olive, well, not really olive green, but this brown paint painted on top, and that looks good. So tons of paint, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different paint apps just on the chest. Pretty impressive for a Hasbro figure. So we have actually, you know what, to be fair, pretty impressive for most figures. We have a disc hinge for a shoulder that with this shoulder pad, it does limit it, and it doesn't get out of the way, so you really only get up to about there. You also get down, you get the bicep swivel, you have a double jointed elbow, but because of the cut of the armor and so forth, you only get a little bit more than 90 degrees. Paint detailings wise for all that stuff, you have this green, which I think, yes, is the natural color plastic, and then the silver is painted on for wear and tear, which looks pretty good. Same for the bicep swivel, or the bicep section. I'm not sure why that line is painted on. It's painted on there too, though. For the elbow, we have the same camo that we have down here applied. We'll talk about that when we get there, and then same for the forearm. For the wrist, we have a swivel and then a hinge in out, and then it's a holding hand, but you don't really have a holding, well, you have the binoculars, so I guess that's fine. Same for the other side, except you have a trigger finger hand, and you have a hinge up-down, which is nice for a trigger hand. Moving down, we have this floating piece, which is the belt. It's a green, and then it has brown paint applied. And then for the pelvis section, we have this camo style, which is also applied to the thighs and to the forearms. We'll talk about that right now. So the base color is actually that dark green. And then we have on top of that a lighter green and a brown, and then this like brown-green mix. So it's 3 different colors applied on top, plus some silver wear and tear done in some places. Then on this leg, you have the extra brown painted on, which is a different shade of brown, and then this holster painted on the side. So it's a ton of paint here, and it does cost a little bit more. I think it's $2 or $3 more, but I think it's ultimately worth it for this paint. And I tell you, I would pay more for the series across the board if we could get this much paint on a figure. Really makes him pop. We have T-jointed ball joints for hips with the limited articulation that we've kind of come to expect from Black Series, and then forward and back to there. Thigh swivel is built into the boot armor right around the thigh, so that's nice. And then we have a double jointed knee, which doesn't look too bad. A little long, but I think it's ultimately fine. We have a little bit of green paint on the joint, but I'm going to say that's an accident, but a happy one at that. And then we have the boots, which are all sculpted and then in this gray plastic, which is fine. We have some black painted on at the top for the under armor or the under suit. And then we have the ankles, which are on a hinge, which gives you a great ankle tilt up. We rarely get an ankle tilt this good up in more Hasbro figures in general. And then, but nothing really back, which I think is fine. I'd much rather have the up than the back, so you can kind of pose them with one leg behind or whatever. And then the rocker is on the peg, and it's a nice rocker too. Great range. I hope you can see that. So yeah, all in all, pretty impressive. It's just the articulation that ends up falling short. And there he is with an SH Figuarts and Commander Cody from Hasbro. So, looks pretty good. It's nice to have some more Commander figures in the line. And we're getting Rex also, so that'll be nice. Final thoughts wise, the issues with this guy are the same issues that plague most of the troopers that Hasbro produces, and that is lack of articulation. Because of the armor and everything and pretty decent sculpts, they tend to not move smoothly, or move fluidly is what I really wanted to use, but the move smoothly has kind of become a thing now, so what was I supposed to do? Do you know what I mean? It's hard. I took a picture that you can see at the end of trying to get him into a dynamic pose, and it looks absurd. The key to these guys is to kind of pose them stoically and pose them together and use them as troop building fodder. And what you'll find is that you have a pretty impressive shelf worth of troopers at the end of it for a pretty reasonable price. And that's where the beauty kind of comes into the Hasbro's Black Series troopers. But yeah, it's the shoulders, it's the elbows, it's the hips, you know, it's the feet. There's a lot of things that just hold this guy back from being able to pose the way you'd like him to. And that's the major issue here. That and he can't look through the binoculars properly. Positives wise, it is one of the most well painted figures I've seen in a long time, especially for the $20 price range. There's paint all over this guy. It's definitely done with love. It's definitely done with passion. It's definitely done because somebody cares somewhere. And for that, I applaud them. I like the fact that we're getting these kind of unique troopers, you know, these troopers that you can't, you know, you can retool them and get your troop building and your repaints and all that kind of stuff out of them. But for the most part, it's a unique mold and very specific to a character. So it's nice to get that from Hasbro. So do I recommend it? Yeah, if you can get it for, you know, 20 to 30 bucks somewhere in that pocket, yeah. If it gets out of control and there's all these crazy prices and, you know how STC exclusives can get, I would imagine that TRU will eventually carry this on the shelves. Just hold tight. But I wouldn't pay too much over 30. I think that you'll be disappointed. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.